Welcome, everybody, to the first installment of the Unfiltered Show with the Alpha Heel 7. This is the beginning of the Unfiltered era for the Soden Bowl Sim League. I actually created this show for another league, and I love doing it. It's probably one of my favorite shows to do, mainly because I can speak from the heart. I can kind of go off topic and go off on little rants, but I can get away with it because I labeled it unfiltered. So if you're offended, you're easily offended, you might as well go ahead and stop the video and go watch one of the MUT players abuse the AI. So with that being said, we are going to start like I said, a brand new show. If you're not familiar with this show, what it is, I like to go over different subjects within the league. Maybe sometimes I go off topic again. And what I like to do is just kind of talk about things that are going on around the league. Records, my hot takes, MVP, stuff like that. So, it's one of the things that I really like to do with the content. I created this, and I really want to get back to my roots. So, with that being said, let's not waste any further time. Let's get into the first subject. First subject. Biggest rookie thus far. What's the biggest impact that we've seen here in Soden Bowl? As you can see on the graphic there to the top left, we've got Devin White, we've got Kyler Murray, and we've got Josh Jacobs, which was, to me, one of the biggest steals in this draft. Superstar development, and he went like 30-ish or something. He's been phenomenal. So let's talk about each person or each player and their accolades. So without that being said, Devin White, the reason why I have him up here, you would think, oh, he's got a bunch of tackles, he's got a bunch of sacks. No, he is leading the league in interceptions. I'm not sure if it says more about the user or if it says more about the player. Obviously, Devin White has got a bunch of speed. We do have a no roaming rule, so it's not like he can just run around the field. So he's got 9 interceptions on the year, with the second place person only having 6. So he's had a huge impact thus far. And then you take a look at what Kyler Murray has done for this team. He's for the Miami Dolphins, he's racked up 1,300 yards passing, and this guy's gotten it done. If you watch some of his game, I think we actually called a primetime game, he has had no shortage of great accolades. He's got 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's been on a tear. His last 3 games, he's thrown 4 touchdowns and 1 interception. So he's really made an effect on this team and why they're leading in their division. So obviously Kyler Murray is up there. And then the third rookie, we can't forget about him, Josh Jacobs. He's got 573 yards thus far, with the second being guy out of Buffalo, Darwin Thompson, at 326. So Josh Jacobs, with all the stuff that happened to Kareem Hunt, Josh Jacobs comes into the Chiefs with this high-powered offense. You would think that they're going to push back the run. No, Josh Jacobs is bringing them back to that old-style power running game. With that trucking that he has, definitely a great player. So Josh Jacobs is definitely up there. I mean, if you had, for me, there was one of the 3 that I actually had to pick and say, oh, well, this guy's doing better than, the rest. It would actually have to be Devin White, just because, looking at him and seeing what type of player he is. 9 interceptions has really helped carry this defense into what looks like they're going to have a good season. So Devin White, although he didn't have the huge ratings coming out of the gate, he's really kind of defined himself and led the league in interceptions. So right now, that is my #1 rookie impact. So with that being said, let's take a look at the next here. Let's take a look at overrated. Overrated. Yes, the most overrated team in the SBSL. Now, before you get your panties in the wad and start throwing, stuff at me and telling me I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, I take a look at, the user base. I take a look at the stats and records and kind of compile all that together, and it comes out, boop, just like that. And I mean, just like that. That's kind of a weird, yeah. Anyway, my team, as you can probably already tell because it's up there, is the Los Angeles Rams. My buddy, J-Ho, as as Soden likes to call him, JHO43654. It's J-Ho. He's a ho, but he's my ho, right? So he's 3-2 right now. He actually, it's kind of tough for me to give him this because he took a very good user and crowd pleaser, the Bears, to the limit. He actually blew that game. So it's hard for me to do that because he should be 4-1 technically, but he's 3-2. The reason why I have him here is because I don't think that he's going to pull it out through for the entire season. I think he's got a little bit of momentum behind him, but I don't think that he's going to be able to carry this out. He's got a lot of tough games ahead of him. Another thing is, if you look at the rushing, he's only averaging 91 yards a carry with Todd Gurley. I just don't think that that's what you need to do in order to win a Super Bowl and with an all-Madden setting. You got to be able to run the ball, and he's not really doing that well. Another thing is, he is almost last. He's 28th. I understand there's 32 teams, so he's not 28th, close to the, you know what I mean. So he's closer to the bottom, okay, in points allowed, 28th in the league, 26 points a game. He's averaging 27, scoring, but you got to get that number down. You got to play better defense, and I just don't like what I'm seeing out of him. Like I said, he's my buddy, but in all honesty, he's given up a lot of rushing yards per game, over 100 he's averaging. So he's throwing a lot of interceptions with Goff. He just really hasn't been able to make it work with Gurley. He's got less than 400 yards with him. We've got 5 games, so he's averaging less than 100 yards. He had a really good draft with what he's had. I just don't think that he's had, in my opinion, the best season. I think that he could prove me wrong and pull it out. Maybe that's why I'm doing this. I call him overrated, so at the end of the season he makes a playoff and gives me the big FU, so who knows, right? It could go either way. So that's my biggest overrated team thus far. So obviously we have a really long season left, so we'll see if that changes. But for now, it's the Rams. Yeah. So the next one, right? Biggest surprise. So surprise, mother. Yes, my biggest surprise thus far in the league. It's kind of hard because there's a lot of new users and stuff, so it's like, okay, who do I pick? Because is this user really good with a bad team or whatnot? So what I did was I kind of looked at the rosters and the teams and kind of jumbled it together and did this again, right? Did this. Man, I'm probably not going to have this video on YouTube very long. So what I did was I kind of compiled all that stuff together, and I came up with the Oakland Raiders, right? The Oakland Raiders. And I'll tell you why. Nothing against Shockwave. But that team looked like a poo-poo on paper. He completely traded his entire team before the season started. He traded a ton of players. Now, keep in mind, he traded older players. And then when the season started, he traded away like 2 or 3 of his best offensive linemen. I actually had to play him that next game after he traded them linemen. I looked at the lineman's rating. I crap you not, it's under 70. Like, literally every offensive lineman was like 66, 65, 67. So I'm like licking my chops. I'm like just ready, pinning the ears back. I'm ready to send this Jacksonville D-line, straight up his rear. But the guy can ball. So he is completely came out of left field. He completely whooped my butt. And he's been doing great thus far. 4-2 record. You look at him right now, his passing, he's pass heavy. He loves going deep. Wink, wink. If you do play him, he loves going deep. But he knows how to do it, and he knows when to pick situations in order to do that. And his defense has only given up 17 points a game. That's 8th in the league. His rushing, he's only allowing 70 yards. So if he can get the passing number down, I think he can really compete. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be one of those teams built right now to compete for the title. There's a lot of tough teams in the AFC. I am looking forward to seeing if I can get a rematch on him because I completely got whooped that game. Completely embarrassed. So I would love to have that opportunity to see if I could do something more. Who knows? It's fun though. It was a fun game. He's a good player, and I can't really get mad at him about it. So yeah, he's my biggest surprise. So I think that he can. I think he could take this further, but it's going to take a lot of work for him to do that. So we'll see. With that roster, though, he is completely surprise me. So kudos to you, Shockwave. So that kind of brings me into the next thing here. Alpha's hot take. You're like, well, what's Alpha's hot take? Alpha's hot take is normally when you get offended. If you haven't been offended already and you're watching this, you may want to turn down the sound and put the earmuffs on, crawl into your safe place, put your knees together, and just let this segment go through before I do that, because normally what I like to do is I just like to kind of shoot, spitfire, man. So, first thing, Alpha's hot take. Guys, this is going to touch you deep, man. Get your games in. We cannot lose our momentum in this league. If you are losing interest with it, bye-bye. Get out. We will find people to replace you. If you're not interested, get out so we can make room for other people. Tired of seeing the schedule chat having that tumbleweed go across the screen and just nobody scheduling their game. Get your games in. Guys, we are trying to provide you content. We are trying to provide you with a great league. We got reward systems rolled out. Get your butt together and get in gear. Secondly, rules. Guys, come on. Read the rules page if you're not familiar with them. I'm having too many people saying, oh, I played this game and this guy ran 4 verts and then 4 cover 4 and he did this and I think it's against the rules. I'm not sure. Read the rules. If it's not a broken rule, don't complain to me about it. If it is a broken rule, definitely complain. And if you're on the other side of that, this is going towards you too. Get your butt together, because we are not going to have those type of players that just want to win at all costs, cheese and abuse the AI. That's not going to happen. You will be escorted out quickly and swiftly with authority. So we will not put up with that. At some point, we will have 32 amazing users going into Madden 20. Be a part of it, guys. Learn to play well. We've got so many things in line for you guys. This is going to be one of the best sim leagues out there. I am telling you 100%. So get your act together. Stop complaining about every little thing that doesn't go your way. And if there is legit concern, here, let me break this down, okay? Here is what I want you to do, okay? You're playing. Oh, I'm getting beat. Now I'm getting angry. I've got to find different ways of why did this happen? Well, guess what? Okay, now if a guy's just completely cheesing you all game, don't let that deter you from making an actual formal complaint. But what I like to do is, if I feel like I've been cheesed that game, I usually take about an hour. I calm down because you're on full tilt. The steam's coming out of your head. You could fry an egg. You're just so pissed. But after an hour, you kind of say, you know what? That really wasn't that bad. I probably, go back and look at the footage. That's what I want you to do, because I used to be the same way. I used to be like, he ran 4 verts, 5 plays in the entire game. It's like, okay, well, you should stop that. Okay, so what I did was I started saying, instead of complaining, I'm going to back up. I'm going to just sit there and let it, not fester, just kind of let it cool off. Once I did that and I went back and looked at tape, I would say 50%, maybe less than that. I'd say 25% of the time I actually had valid complaints. Just because you're looking for things, right? You're looking for areas to complain. You're saying, man, he ran with the quarterback, or he went for it on 4th down. He wasn't in his zone. He was a little bit out. Come on. We don't need to do that. So make sure that you do go back and watch tape. Now, you go back and watch tape and you find like 6, 7 infractions. You find maybe more. What I want you to do is timestamp them. Either create clips or give me the timestamps. That's what we're looking for. You tell me he ran this all game, he did this all game. I'm not going to go back and watch that entire tape. I've got news for you. Too many guys are playing. Too much time for us admins to be able to police that. So, feedback. That's where that's important. We have the feedback form, which is on sodenbowl.com. You pull up the SBSL, and then it's the feedback form. Rate your opponent, because guess what? You rate him bad, someone else rates him bad, someone else rates him bad, and then his score drops. Okay? His score drops low, he's out. We've already booted a couple guys out for that. So he's going to be out. So keep that in mind. That's why that's important. So before you flood us with DMs, go do your own due diligence. And if you're that guy that's cheesing, you're not off the hook, brother. You're not off the hook. You need to start making changes in your own life, man. Y'all need Jesus. So, with that said, that's my hot take, okay? So, let's get out of the, I don't know, I guess the bad juju stuff, let's make it happy again, right? Let's make it happy. Make a happy place. Make me little happy trees and some birds, Anyway. All right. First quarter MVP. Why do I call it first quarter MVP? Because we're about quarter way into the season. Who's the MVP of the league, right? I mean, you've got a ton of players that are playing well. You've got stats that are, just making a world of difference. So, who's my MVP? Now, before I made this, number one passer in the league was Derek Carr. Tom Brady has then since passed him in a couple of the areas, but he's still, if I look at the record, Brady's got 13 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I believe Carr has got 15 touchdowns, 7 something very similar, but a little bit less yardage. Looking at records and everything, these are, if you're looking at the screen right now, right there, I can't point right. Those are my, the pictures that says it all, right? You got Derek Carr. Derek Carr is leading. Again, we had talked about their offensive line. Their average is 67. 67, and Derek Carr is still lighting up defenses. Definitely up there in the MVP. He's got them rolling, and they're winning games. They're leading that division. Now, that's a tough division. You got Soden. You got Monteith. I think that's how you say his name. The Chargers. He's up there. He's got one lost game or something. And then you got swing on these. I'm not telling you to swing on these. I'm not trying to. That's his gamer tag. But anyway, you got those 4 guys, and they're all doing really well. That division right now is just so compact, you couldn't even pick who's going to win that division. All 4 of them could. So for me, Derek Carr has just been playing lights out. And then I stick in that division. Why do I stick in that division? Because you got Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is just lighting defenses up. Create, that with his relationship with Holmes. He's killing it. I love what he's doing right now. Since then, since I pulled the stats, there have been a couple other receivers that are up there. But right now, I think Tyreek Hill is definitely up there as my first quarter MVP front runner. And then the third one is Chris Carson. Yes, Chris Carson. Not Johnny Carson's son, Chris Carson, but Chris Carson. By the way, I don't even know if Johnny Carson has a son named Chris. Totally left field. But Chris Carson of the Seahawks. Great player. He's got 602 yards right now. Seahawks are leading their division by a very wide margin, and it's all because they can run the ball. Chris Carson is a phenomenal talent, and he's elevated the Seahawks team combined with a good defense to another level. So with those 3 players, man, they are just so many front runners. I have to take a look also at Tevin Coleman. If I had not quite make the list type of deal, it would be like Tevin Coleman, because Tevin Coleman with Baltimore is 584 yards. Baltimore's up there as well. Odell Beckham, he's actually second in yards. And then Devin White, 9 interceptions. And then Frank Clark, 13 sacks. I mean, we've got a plethora of players that could win that MVP. But if you were asking me right now who's the front runner, definitely would be those 3. So I don't know if it's going to stick that way, but, we'll see. So, and lastly, we are going to, I'm going to drop I'm going to close this out, but I also want you to go on to Twitter, and I want you to follow @SodenBowlSimLG. So that is our Twitter. That's where we all provide all our content. We retweet stuff. If you want to be a part of Soden Bowl Nation, fellas, if you're watching this and you're like, man, I love to be a part of a cool sim league that has rules and doesn't, rely on cheesing to win, and guys that can just, have a great camaraderie, a community. We do content. If you want to be a part of this, go to www.sodenbowl.com. There's a register button on there. You can actually fill out. If you go to SBSL, you can fill out an application. You just put your information in there, and we contact you. We are always looking for good users. As we are in this weird position of the cycle where nobody wants to really play that much, it's kind of hard to get people to want to play their games. So we are always looking for users. Unfortunately, rest in peace, Soden Bowl, we decided to alleviate the regular league. It's hard running 2 leagues right now, especially in this, one would say, maybe one of the worst Madden games in, some years. Just for me, I like the game, I enjoy it, but just the weird stuff that happens. And then also just where we are in the development cycle. So it's hard to keep good users and, enthralled and wanting to play. But guys, we appreciate all you do. I don't like to jump your tail ends or anything, but we want to make sure that you guys are doing what you're supposed to do. We work hard on the back end of this, and the other admins work hard on this. We just want to make sure you guys are following the league and doing what you're supposed to do. So, again, we appreciate all you do. I'm going to make this show very frequent. I like doing it. Like, if there's any type of ideas that you want, maybe I don't know, you guys could have a call-in, and we have a call-in segment where like somebody comes in and talks with me a little bit, or we can make this a joint show. I just like doing this stuff. This content stuff is awesome for me. It's been playing Madden. I'm 40 years old. I just turned 40 March 27th. And I've been playing Madden since Sega Genesis. So even before they had names, they were like number 2. Like Marshall Faulk on the Colts was number 21. And I've loved doing this, and it's progressed. You got great, fantastic leagues out there like NBL, MSR, others that do the same type of stuff. We want to set ourselves just a little bit separate from what they do, and hopefully their success makes us step up our game. So again, with that, you guys have any questions, you can hit me up on Twitter at the Alpha Heel 7. You can also follow me on Twitch, the Alpha Heel 7. And YouTube, I think it's BMoms311. So, I really appreciate all the support I get from the community, and it's really fun doing these type of things. So, I don't really have much else. Again, one last time, follow us at Soden Bowl Sim LG, and hopefully we'll see you guys soon. Thank you for watching.